My simple way to improve my English. My name is Chloe, and I want to tell you about how I learned English. It wasn't easy, but I found ways to make it fun and interesting. I grew up in a small town where nobody spoke English. We all spoke our own language. When I was 10 years old, my parents told me we were moving to America. I was excited, but also very scared. I didn't know any English. Before we moved, my mom bought me some English picture books. I loved looking at the colorful pictures and trying to understand the words. Even though I couldn't read them, I enjoyed making up stories about what I saw in the pictures. When we arrived in America, everything was new and different. I started school right away. On my first day, I felt lost. Everyone was speaking so fast, and I couldn't understand anything. I wanted to make friends, but I didn't know how to talk to anyone. My teacher was very kind. She gave me special books to help me learn English. Every day after school, I would practice reading these books. At first, it was hard, but I didn't give up. I learned new words every day. One thing that really helped me was watching TV shows in English. I started with cartoons because they were easier to understand. The characters spoke slowly and used simple words. I would watch the same episodes over and over until I could understand everything they said. I also loved listening to English songs. Even though I didn't know all the words, I liked the way they sounded. I would sing along, trying to copy the sounds. Sometimes I didn't know what I was singing, but it was fun. My parents bought me a small dictionary. Whenever I heard a new word, I would look it up. I kept a notebook where I wrote down all these new words. Every night before bed, I would practice saying them out loud. At school, I made a friend named Sarah. She was very patient with me. She would speak slowly and use hand gestures to help me understand. We started having lunch together every day. Sarah taught me new words, and I taught her some words from my language. It was like a fun game for both of us. I discovered that I loved reading stories. Even when I didn't understand all the words, I enjoyed imagining what was happening. I started with simple books and slowly moved to harder ones. Every time I finished a book, I felt so proud of myself. My teacher suggested I keep a diary in English. At first, I only wrote a few words each day, but as time went on, I could write more and more. Writing about my day helped me practice using the words I was learning. I also found out about language learning apps on my mom's phone. These apps had games and quizzes that made learning English fun. I would play these games whenever I had free time. It didn't feel like studying, it was just fun. One day, my teacher asked me to give a small talk about my home country. I was nervous, but I worked hard to prepare. I practiced my speech many times in front of a mirror. When I gave my talk, everyone listened and clapped at the end. It made me feel so good. As I got better at English, I started to enjoy watching movies without subtitles. At first, I would miss a lot of what was said, but each time I watched a movie, I understood more. It was exciting to see how much I was improving. I also started reading English newspapers and magazines. There were many words I didn't know, but I could usually understand the main idea. Reading about current events helped me learn about American culture, too. In my second year in America, I joined the school drama club. It was scary at first, but it really helped my English. I had to memorize lines and speak clearly on stage. It also helped me make more friends who were patient with my English. My parents were very supportive. They would practice English with me at home, even though they were learning too. We would have English-only dinners where we all had to speak in English. It was hard, but we laughed a lot at our mistakes. One thing that really helped was not being afraid to make mistakes. I realized that it's okay to say things wrong sometimes. People usually understood what I meant, and they were kind about correcting me. I also learned that body language and facial expressions are important. Even when I couldn't find the right words, I could often communicate with gestures and smiles. As time went on, I found myself thinking in English more and more. Sometimes, I would even dream in English. That's when I knew I was really improving. Now, after 5 years in America, I feel comfortable with English. I can watch any movie, read any book, and talk to anyone. I still make mistakes sometimes, but that's okay. Learning a new language is a journey, and I'm proud of how far I've come. Looking back, I realized that the key to learning English was to make it a part of my everyday life. I didn't just study it in school, I lived it. I watched English TV, listened to English music, read English books, and talked to English-speaking friends. If you're learning English, my advice is to be patient with yourself. It takes time, but if you practice every day and don't give up, you will improve. Find ways to make learning fun, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every mistake is a chance to learn something new. Remember, everyone who speaks English had to learn it at some point. Even native speakers were beginners once. So keep practicing, stay positive, and enjoy the journey of learning a new language. You can do it!